Hey there, and welcome to another edition of the Mother Chronicles. And I just want to get all this out. It helps me to relieve tension since I have no one to talk to anymore about it. Since my mother is basically, in my opinion, being being held hostage against the people that loved her and depended on her emotionally all her life. But that aside, it's Saturday. I'm cooking some meat. In the past, I'd call my mom, "Hey, Mom, I'm cooking some steak. Boy, you better put some butter on that or some olive oil or this or that." You know what I'm saying? I'm cooking it right now, folks. And this went on for decades. It went on forever. I mean, that's my mother. So to suddenly now have my mom in a spot where, her son, me, I have to ration my contact with her, to me, that's foul. You know what I'm saying? And, the person who is, looking after my mother, whatever, and we are related just by blood only. I don't no longer consider them my whatever. And because people who are whatever, they wouldn't do this. Now, they will say, years ago, whatever, I sent a mean text or something. So one text. So in other words, I pressed a button once. They'll never say what they did for me to press that button. But it is human to err, right? Not saying that I erred. I think I was telling the truth, and the fact that this is going on proves that I was telling the truth. But let's all that aside. Who hasn't sent a bad text or a bad email or a bad letter back when people snail mail? Who hasn't done it? That's human. What couple, even if you're married, what husband hasn't said something he regretted later? Or what wife hasn't said something? Or a kid to the father or whatever? That's to err is to be human. We've all pressed that button once. But that's it. It's like, and it's over. But let me tell you something, folks. It takes a special kind of heartless ghoul to press that button and to hold it down, not just for a quick second. Oops, I made a mistake. Let's talk about it. But rather to press that button and hold that button down, not for a second, 2, 3, not even for a week, not even for a month, not even for 3 months, not even for a year, but for years. To hold that button down for years. Now, to me, you have to be void of a sociopath to do that. Particularly to do it. Okay, let me start over, folks. I'm not going to edit this because I'm just being real, because this is for the future. But again, to err is to be human, to get mad, to get excited, over, especially if it's over your mother. But what is not human or normal is to be so sanctimonious that it's either my way or no way. Either you agree with me or you're abusive. Either you agree with everything I say, all my decisions, or I'm going to just hang up the phone. Now, that's fine. You can hang up the phone all you want. Refuse to talk to me all you want. But now that you're, supposedly taking care of my mother, I don't know, you could be beaten over the head with a bat as far as I know, because of that type of behavior. That's a whole nother level of just, to me, evil. I'll just say it, just straight up, or just maybe not even evil, just mental illness. A son's connection to his mother is life. My dad's gone, everybody's gone that I looked up to, so the only thing you really have to live for is your mother, your mom. Who can't relate to that? If you say you can't, then stop listening, you're fake. You seen how that one couple, or that one family out there in California or Arizona when their mother disappeared, how, disheartened they were? That's everybody, folks. We only get one mother. We get one. We don't get two. We get one. So for someone to put their petty emotions or self-centeredness or whatever you want to call it, ego, whatever, and to put that in between a mother and a son, and a mother needs her son just as much as a son needs her mother, to purposely do that and to not see how destructive that is. Again, either to me, that's really, really evil, or it's just a sign of sociopath. In other words, someone that even lacks the comprehension to see how damaging that can be. To me, it's just not someone I want to deal with anymore. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not going to play their game, like, because my mother had a brother, Uncle Saul, whatever, and he, when his mother died, he lost it. He went, he drank himself to death, whatever, and this person once said, you're going to be like that. That's what they want. By cutting me off from my mother, that's exactly what they want. They want me to, they've already written a script, in their minds, they want me, in other words, they don't even want me here. They've buried me years ago. But for a quick moment, when my mother had that incident, I don't know, I thought they were normal again. They called me and we went up there, we worked together. I thought everything was normal. But like a typical person from, a mentally ill person, once I helped them get where they needed to go and I flew back to where I'm at, then here come the games again. So I was like tricked. And I guess that's what evil does. It tricks you. But that aside, they don't even want me here, folks. So they want me to fulfill their own, whatever script they've written about me. They want me to, drink myself to death or go nuts or break the law or something like that. So one of the ways they do that is like when I call that number, my mother's number, they're in complete control. So sometimes they'll answer, sometimes they won't. When they don't answer, it triggers something in me. Because who wouldn't? It's your mother, you're concerned. So in the past, I'd get worked up, excited. I'd call, the cops. I'd do this and do that. But then pretty soon it became the boy who cried wolf too much. So I just realized, okay, enough. I'm not gonna go down this road. And hopefully my mother understands, because she would want me to survive and keep my sanity. And I can't play this game anymore. I cannot play this game. That's the game. Some people that's just who they are. They're very manipulative. Even though they want to feel like they're the victim, but in the future, I'm making these recordings so y'all can see who the monster was. You know what I'm saying? So I called her. Oh, nothing. Well, if you're the caretaker, as we agreed to, then obviously if my mother's incapacitated, you checked her messages. Oh, your son called. Let's call him back. They don't do that. You see what I'm saying? That's what a loving, normal person would do if you agree to be a caretaker. But instead, so what happens? I call again, nothing. I call again, nothing. So then I react. Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't when you know your mom's infirmed and anything could be happening? So then I call 911, this or that or da-dee-dee. So then I'm the one that looks like, do you see the game? And I'm just like, I can't do that. I say I can't do that because it's destructive for my own emotional state of being. I'm not going to play that game. You see what I'm saying? I shouldn't have to. If the person that's supposedly looking after whatever, they wouldn't make people go through that. They'd grow up, act mature. There's nothing more than parents want when they're at that age or whatever than to see everyone get along. For some reason, some people are just destructive. They just have this controlling, destructive spirit. If you don't worship them, if it's not their way, then it's nobody's way. And that's how, in their minds, they dish out punishment. But to me, in other words, if it were anyone else doing this, I doubt they'd even be here anymore. I'll be honest with you. And that's the trap I'm in, because I would have never thought that the one person that would separate me from my own mother would be such and such. With their own, living up there with them, an adult, living up there with them, with his own whatever. So, I'm kind of like, what am I going to do? Now, if it were anyone else doing that, the solution would be simple. But it's more complicated than that. And that's how clever the devil is. But that being said, folks, I think about my mother every single day because she's the one I would speak to. She was my life. She was my guide. You could almost say she was my quote-unquote God, She was the one who birthed me, advised me, whatever. And to just have all that cut off suddenly, it's not something you ever get used to. You don't ever get used to it. Life feels empty. It's just not the same. But you try to go on regardless. Like I could call there right now at the phone. They won't pick up the phone. Now, if I were in charge of my mother, I would. I'd check that phone 3-4 times a day. Oh, such and such called. It's not about me. I may not like him. Hey, Mom, such and such called. Let's call him back here. Talk to him. That's what a normal, rational, regular person would do. But someone who isn't normal, rational, or regular, they want to play games. And that's why I say a lot of people think violence is like physical. No, there's also intellectual or psychological violence. And this person is sadistic, folks. This person looking after my mother, using their income. Because before she got sick, it was me. I used my own income. I spent over 25 grand on my mother. This person never flew up there to see them for over 25 years, even when they were on their deathbed before. Never once flew up there. And they're closer than I am. Never. It was always me. But then as soon as, now I can, use your money. Okay, yeah, now, you know what I'm saying? It's just a leech. Okay? So anyways, this will all come out later. And I don't, whatever. But I have to make these recordings to kind of bleed off my energy. All right? I have to kind of be, that's just therapy, folks. So I don't care if you get it or not. Because one day you may go through it, or maybe you already have, whatever. I don't care. I just have to get this off my chest so that I can stay calm and mellow. All right? So, and with that, be a decent person. Don't be a monster. All right? Later and out.